Hey guys, buckle up because Real Housewives of Miami season 7 reunion part 1 just gave us the kind of chaos and tea that I think Bravo dreams are made of. Okay, from shocking confessions to alliances completely imploding, this reunion is one for the books, especially since they started off the whole reunion with alcohol. I cannot believe that Andy actually did that. Now, Julia dropped a bombshell about her and Adriana, and I feel like nobody needed to know that. Nobody cared. Like, we didn't want that information. I feel like this is her breaking out all the stops because she knows that she may be walking on thin ice as far as the audience is concerned. Like, most people, I don't think, care for Julia anymore as much as we did in the beginning. But yes, you heard that right. She did drop a bombshell. Okay, we're going to get into that. And then there was some fallout. Everybody kind of was like gagged, whatever. This was part of the show where I was like, I think I was multitasking and I stopped listening because they started cackling, and then I couldn't. I was just like, what? And then I'm gonna be honest, I probably stopped watching maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the last little bit. But anyway, we're gonna talk about some of the drama, break that down, some of the hidden truths, and then see where some of these relationships are headed. Okay, so before we get to that though, let's just get into these clothes. All right, because the outfits from the ladies, they were pretty in terms of color. Um, they all looked good technically, but my favorites probably were shamefully Marysol. And I feel like Julia's dress was technically made from the same designer because they looked like they had the same type of sequins. I didn't really like Julia's dress, but I think it's just because I don't really like Julia. I liked Alexia's dress, but I feel like it didn't fit. Her boobies are a little bit too big. Um, Lisa was cute. She kind of gave like Disney princess, sexy girl, Barbie. I don't know. Guerdy was cute too, but I just feel like. I don't know. It's very Miami appropriate, but it just wasn't my favorite. Adriana's dress was very Chica Mala, no thank you. Cher over here, Kiki, it was a pretty color on her. Now, Larsa, she looked like body anatomy. Like I just saw organs. I don't know what about this dress. It's supposed to, I guess, give like stained glass or something, but it just looked like the inside of your body. But anyway, so let's move on. Let's get into what happened first. So the reunion kicked off already very tense. Guerdy versus Julia was brewing all season. And I feel like Guerdy was trying to let Julia live for a little bit, but then she kind of like wrapped it back around. Was it this season or the season before where she had the party? And she kind of like did that whole announcement. I feel like that was where I couldn't really support what Guerdy was doing because it made her look kind of stupid. But there was something else going on with Guerdy. Oh, it wasn't Guerdy. Okay, so let's move on to Adriana and her friendship with Julia, which was very fractured, and it had to do with the fact that Julia was so up Marysol and Alexia's butt trying to be in with the good girls. And I don't know, it was just weird. Larsa and Marysol were also circling the drama like sharks. I feel like they have a good way of stirring the pot and creating drama and kind of like walking away, but it's weird that they're not friends. I think Larsa is closer to Alexia and Stephanie. And for some reason, I don't feel like Marysol likes Larsa. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Um, Now, I feel like Julia, she kind of shook the entire stage with that confession that I feel like no one saw coming. But like I said, I don't think anybody wanted to know this information. She admitted that she and Adriana slept together, not once, but multiple times in the Hamptons. And then even at like the Versace mansion or something like that. Like, girl, we don't care. And also, why are you saying this? Because is this before or after Martina? This is clearly why you were still married, right? So Adriana, of course, immediately denied everything. But this is what I mean about this. She's claiming that she was blindsided and that Julia's story was exaggerated. Okay. The whole couch went silent for a moment before the reaction started flying. And everybody started, this was when they started cackling and all that. And all I could hear was chickens. Okay. It was like, "Burr, burr, burr." Like I could not get into like what was going on. Half of the cast looked like they had just seen a ghost, while others accused Julia of clout chasing for the cameras, which I believe she's doing because The issue with Julia is I feel like she has these props of the sons. You know, she's calling them sons, but I think they're props. I don't like how she's using this storyline to create more buzz for herself. I feel like the farm was enough. The fact that you're a middle-aged woman, again, no shade to you being older. I'm just saying a fact. Why would you want to have two young kids at this age, this late in the game? Why couldn't you, like, it's almost like she's trying to replace that dead son. I shouldn't say it like that. You know what I'm trying to say. She had a child who was a son that like miscarried or something, right? But I feel like she's trying to redo that part of her motherhood that maybe she may have missed out on in her mind. But you have these two grown children who are living their best life in Europe. Meanwhile, you think that now's the time to get children? So honestly, what I feel like she's using them as props, but also I can't unsee the fact that they could end up being little slaves on the farm. Okay, yes, I said it. So anyway, um I feel like Julia's revelation though, it just wasn't it almost seemed like she was trying to drop a grenade lobbed in the middle of the group because she didn't have anything else to work with. Maybe her and Martina are going through something and I'm just like missing the other tea, but she's not that interesting. I also feel like what she did to Guerdy was completely out of line. And Guerdy really let her live because had it been me, girl, we would have been under the sea. Do you understand? Like you would have been off the boat. Ain't no absolute way. And then the way that all the other women kind of piled on Guerdy afterward, it was just crazy. Like I could tell Guerdy was trying to keep her shit together. Okay, what else? I feel like also with Adriana, it wasn't so much that she was denying the whole situation. It almost seemed like she might have been hurt or felt betrayed. Maybe it had something to do with her being embarrassed. I don't know. Either way, I don't know how that even happened. Okay. Julia claimed that this happened earlier before many of the fights this season, which reframes a lot of the conflicts we watched play out. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, so this was really a girlfriend situation. Every time they were like barking on each other each time during the season, it was like, oh, I'm mad because you're my girlfriend. Like that's what it's given now. Like now that I reflect on the whole season and how they were upset with each other, it was very weird. Okay. Guerdy, she kind of made it clear in the press that she feels like Julia chose the spotlight over loyalty. She even hinted that Julia has been playing like a social climber role instead of being like a genuine friend, and which I can totally agree with that. Okay. So what's going on underneath the surface here? Let's break that down because we have some friendships, we have betrayals. Julia's revelation, I think, is forcing everybody to ask if she's like betrayed her closest friends, and if she'll do that. Adriana and Guerdy, can she actually be trusted? Should we be rebuilding friendships with her? I don't think so. There's also something here about like image versus truth. Was Julia being honest and raw for the moment, or was this like a strategic reveal for the camera? It almost felt like she was having like diarrhea of the mouth. Like, oh, me and Adriana slept with each other. Like, girl, okay. All right. So this is where I want to move on though to the shifting alliances, because with the cast kind of being split down the middle, we are totally seeing a different restructuring of who's in and who's out. The housewives, the power dynamics are kind of shifting in real time. And I feel like the seating chart is kind of telling. You know, like the seating chart doesn't always tell everything, but it kind of does set the tone for where they stand and where it's going to go in the next season. So, yeah, I feel like there was some emotional fallout from there as far as like Adriana and Julia, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's kind of like where you see like the pain, but also anger in her face. Now, we can't talk about this reunion without asking some other questions. All right. I feel like the whole thing with Alexia, I'm glad that she is moving on from Todd. I just wonder what's going to happen with her moving forward, because she is someone who I feel like was always a strong personality, like as a woman. And I feel like Todd always found ways to try to minimize who she was. He definitely was threatened by her throughout the season. And I feel like this is we're going to see like maybe next year how she manages just like living her best life. Like I hope she learns to stop being so male centered, because I feel like I've said this I said this on my channel that got deleted. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel, okay? But I said this before on the other episode recaps that I feel like she's someone who I think gets a lot of her identity from being with certain men. And, that's cute or whatever, but I would love to see her and her just kind of like thrive in her business, maybe start a new business. I don't know, just see some other angle from her, maybe even getting more into the friendships that she has with other women outside of being up Marysol's ass, because that would be great. Okay. And getting on to Miss Marysol, because I don't really have much to say about her except for the fact that I hope people start to see her for what she really actually is, because she's not someone who's actually that nice. And I think she's very insecure. Okay. What else? Miss Stephanie, you guys know that's my favorite girl. She's the richest one. And I feel like she's just fun. Like, I like her energy. I feel like she's learning to navigate these friendships, these new dynamics. I also realize that she's, becoming more self-aware about who she is and how to deliver and switch, wear different hats. Even though I feel like they should just learn to start to accept her for who she is. And now I think people can realize that she's not coming from a bad place. Of course, there's been a lot of still, commotion about like, oh, she's just flaunting her money, blah, blah, blah. I love the fact that she has fuck you money. Like, I love that. I love how she uses it. I love how she's just like going to go pick up her children, from her children being her dogs, in a private jet after they got groomed or whatever. Like, I just love the fact that even after this, she was texting and she was like, right after the reunion, I'm about to get on the plane and I'm going back because I have to do, work, whatever. That I loved. Now let's move on to Miss Lisa. Okay. So Lisa, where do I start with her? She is kind of, I like Lisa, but I think Lisa's stupid. Like, I think honestly, Lisa is just a dumbass. She's one of those people who definitely finds her identity from men. And she talked about it. She actually revealed that part of herself during the season when she was talking about, like, I've only ever really been with a man. A man always takes care of me. Like, as soon as I left the house, at a young age, I was moving in with my boyfriend, and just I'm used to that dynamic. So I can understand her being sheltered, right? But there's something about you being sheltered and then you also not even wanting to like claim your own sense of independence. That's what probably bothers me the most about her. Her trying to force Jody into marrying her when he clearly does not want to. Like, it's not a matter of time. It's not a matter of like, oh, we'll see. At this point, he's told you more than once that he doesn't want to marry you. He said it plainly. And first, I also don't like how he threw in her face, like, oh, what man do you know is going to accept all this drama around you? Like, I've been sticking it out with you. Like, sir, you chose to stick it out with me. I don't need you to like rub that in my face. I don't need you to bring that up to me again. But also, she just needs to be focused on her kids. Stop worrying about everything else. Worry about this money that's supposed to be coming in from Lenny, and how you're going to flip that and reverse it. Okay. I need you to start some businesses, something, very much so, something like come up with more than one business. Okay. Because the way that you want to live, I don't know. I don't know if that money is going to be moneying for very long. And I feel like it may not stretch as much as she thinks, especially when Lenny gets married, if he hasn't been married already. I don't know if he married the girl yet, but once they get married and once that lady decides that she maybe wants to have a child with Lenny, it's gonna be a wrap for Lisa. Lisa's gonna have to get the ball running somewhere else. So I don't know what she likes to do outside of like dressing up and looking cute. Like, what else do you like to do? I don't know. Start a fine jewelry collection, girl. Open up a restaurant. Well, maybe that might not be like fiscally responsible for you to do that, because that is a very hard business to get into. But there is something that she can do. There's something that she can do where she doesn't necessarily have to answer to anybody. She can create something and spearhead something on her own. What else? I think that was about it. I really don't care about what's going on with Adriana, to be honest. I hope we don't find out anything else in part 2 and part 3. We can just move on from her. I'm glad that she's got her little music situation going on. That's always cute. Don't care about her and her dog. That's cute too, but whatever. It's just not enough for me to stay engaged in her story. I feel like they need to do some new additions in this whole situation. Because also, like, as much as I like Kiki, I've already said plenty of times that I don't feel like Kiki has enough going on for me to care about what she's doing. I mean, like, she's gonna have to start revealing her baby daddy. I've said that before. I will continue to say that. You need to show us who your baby daddy is. And then maybe we can talk about some other things, because the fact that we haven't really seen your son, and we've seen your young daughter now finally, but I didn't even know she had a young kid. And we just don't know where she came from. I just feel like there's some other missing pieces of the story that she's not willing to share. And I feel like it might be a little bit messier than she would want to explain. Like, for some reason, I feel like her situation with whoever her father, the baby's father is kind of like, it may be a little taboo. Okay, I'm not going to say what I say, what I'm thinking, but y'all can kind of like catch my drift. I feel like there was something there. Like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it. I just feel like she's not really getting into her tea. And these little lifestyle magazine shoots that she keeps doing, they're a little too cheap for me to stay engaged during her storyline. Her father is not that interesting either. I don't care about that whole storyline about him being this and that and not doing this and that. Whatever, we don't care. Okay. Um, who else? Is that everybody? I feel like that was everybody. I feel like what does Marysol do like to date? I mean, she's not in PR anymore, but she still uses her connections. I know her husband is supposed to be someone who does something, but I don't even think he makes as much money as she does. So I mean, not that that matters, but I do think they have a nice relationship, but they don't show enough of it. Like, we don't see enough going on in her relationship. I feel like they just kind of, her storyline is based around her interactions with Alexia, and that's kind of cornering them. But I feel like Alexia is going to break out of that by next season, because I feel like she's going to get closer to Larsa and Stephanie and finally branch out with the other ladies, which is what she needs to do. She doesn't need to be isolated. Marysol wants to keep her on her lap like a little pet, and that's just not going to be hot tea for next year. So Miami never really disappoints, but I feel like this reunion part 1 is kind of giving vintage Housewives. There's some shocking confessions, obviously, messy alliances, and enough drama to carry us straight into part 2, which I hope is going to get juicier. I feel like I never really like watching the reunions as much as I used to like them. I used to really enjoy watching the reunions because there used to be more information being divulged, but they usually wait now until part 3 to tell you like all the juicy stuff. But I want to hear from you guys, collective. Do you believe Julia's confession, or do you feel like this was off of the cameras? Do you feel like Adriana was blindsided, or she's just hiding something that she doesn't want everybody else to know? Because I feel like there could be something going on as far as like even flipping sides when the real fallout hits, maybe part 2 or part 3. Let me know in the comments. Drop your takes below. I'll probably be doing a reading on some of these women. I feel like I'm going to do a reading on what was going on with Alexia and Todd, just to find the tea. Or maybe one of these other women. I don't know. Maybe Larsa. Let's see what's going on with her love situation. Or maybe Lisa. I don't know. Let me know in the comments which reading you would prefer me to do for one of these housewives, because I don't think I've gotten into any Housewives personal or love readings, like as far as energy updates are concerned. But of course, I love to hear your suggestions. In the meantime, stay tuned, because part 2, I'm going to be covering that as well. And of course, I'm going to be a little bit nosy. So hopefully by that time, I'll be able to go live. Will I be able to go live? No, we need to work on that. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.